Good morning, everyone. My name is Richard. I'm the marketing manager for Europe and South Africa for Goodwe, based in Munich, Germany. I'm very happy to welcome you all to our webinar today about our hybrid portfolio for South Africa, together with Kranich and AfriPlus. To begin with, I would like to show you what it's about, our agenda for today's webinar. So I would like to start with the introduction, which I'm doing right now. Then Wadud will present some slides for Kranich. Then our third point would be Goodwe's Stephen with our hybrid and storage product portfolio in South Africa. Then we would have Ivan talking about the BYD premium batteries. And at the end, as a last speaker, we would have David talking about the hybrid commissioning. In the end, we will have a few questions where you would have the chance to win some Amazon vouchers. Let's just start quickly with the technicalities. So as you see at the bottom, you have a few buttons. So if you have a question to any of our speakers from any of the three companies, please use the button Q&A so that we can have the time to answer those, and that there's a very good overview where you can see which questions are open and which questions are already answered. And if you have any other comments, or if you have a request like that you cannot hear as well or anything, then I would like to ask you to use the chat button. Let me introduce our speakers of today. So we have first Wadud Ahmad. He is the country manager for Kranich in South Africa. Wadud graduated with a Master in Information Management from the University of Koblenz in Germany. He then started his PV career with Axitec in 2016 and changed to Kranich in 2018, first as an international sales manager for Asia and Africa, and then since April 2019, he's the country manager for Kranich in South Africa. Then we have Stephen Davey. He's the head of business development for Goodwe in the sub-Saharan area. Stephen has built an international PV career over the course of over 15 years. His education includes a Bachelor in Electrical Engineering, an executive MBA together with project management, commercial and contracts law, and also investment management and design certifications. He brings a vast experience in building local operations, supply chains, and cross-functional teams for American, European, and Chinese companies such as Satcom Technology, Canadian Solar, Bonfilioli, and now Goodwe. Our speaker number 3, we have Ivan Holsworth from AfriPlus Energy. Ivan has worked for 5 years for MLT as a technical support and installation manager, and then changed to Southern Cross in 2019 in the same function. He then joined AfriPlus Energy in January 2020 as a technical support manager. And at the end, we have also David Havancha, who looks back on 5 years of experience in the PV industry. He started his solar career with Tasol Solar with equipment repair and went on to lead the technical service team at Seagen Solar. He joined Goodwe as a technical manager in mid-2019 and is responsible for Southern Africa. With this, I would like to give over to Wadud, our first speaker.
Good morning, guys. Thanks, Richard, for the introduction. So I would like to start by giving you an overview of Kranich Solar, who we are, what we do, where we are based, and what products and services we offer for South Africa, and why Kranich Solar is the right partner for you. So first of all, starting off with a little bit of history about the company. Kranich Solar was founded in 1995 in a small town called Walderstadt in Germany by this gentleman here that you can see, Mr. Kurt Kranich. In his words, Kranich Solar is a typical pioneering company. For us, our business is more than a job. We want to do something amazing to continually advance our vision of 100% renewable energies. So Mr. Kranich is still to this day involved in the daily business of Kranich Solar and has managed since its launch in 1995 to make the company the largest PV distributor in the world. So at the moment, we have 450 employees across the globe in 25 branches in 22 countries. And we are delivering to more than 100 countries worldwide. Here on this map, you can see where the Kranich branches are located. So on every continent, we have at least one branch. We opened last year, October, our branch in Cape Town. And we have been using this branch as a hub for Southern Africa. So coming to our global portfolio, we have all the components that you require for a PV system, starting off from solar modules, inverters, storage systems, over to mounting structures, accessories, data communication, and e-mobility solutions. So from that global portfolio that we have, we basically decide what products to introduce or to bring in to a branch that, whenever we open. So for South Africa, we decided on the module side to introduce Exitec Energy. So Exitec has been manufacturing solar modules since 2001. Has been it is, I would say, very well known in Europe, but relatively unknown outside of Europe. So far, the feedback we have received in South Africa has been very positive. And we're going to continue to push further with Exitec. And also Suntec is a long-standing global partner. And as you know, Suntec is also listed in Bloomberg's Tier 1 list. On the inverter side, we have obviously Goodwe. We started cooperating with Goodwe last year. Then we have SMA and SolarEdge available. For batteries, we decided to stick with BYD because from our experience, we can say the product's extremely good, and the local support that we have been receiving from AfriPlus has been very good. So we don't see the need to have any other brand. So for now, we're just going to go with BYD. Also mounting and accessories, we have K2 Systems. K2 Systems also has a branch in Cape Town, which makes the local support very easy for us. And K2 Systems is a German manufacturer of mounting structures. And for solar cable, we have KBE Berlin and MC4 connectors from Stäubli. Our services that we offer are basically, first of all, that whenever there's an issue, we are the first point of contact for the customer. So if there's the need to take the issue further, then we will also assist the customer getting in touch with the manufacturer. Or in case the product needs to exchange or return, we assist from the start till the end to make sure that the customer is satisfied. And for all the deliveries that we do for within South Africa, we are able to track the delivery at any point of time. So the customer always knows what the status of the delivery is. So coming to our global alliance that we have forged with Goodwe since last year. Basically it was inevitable, I would say. Goodwe has gained a lot of market share over the last years and has become a big name in the industry. So we decided to go into this partnership with Goodwe. And at the moment, Goodwe products are offered via 19 Kranish branches around the globe. And we have received excellent service and support from Goodwe. So yeah, also South Africa has been very good for us ever since we started. For BYD, we have been in business with them for a couple of years now. BYD is the largest producer of rechargeable batteries, and the product quality is exceptionally good. And by having local service partners, in our case, F3 Plus in South Africa, makes it very convenient for us to provide a good service to our customers. So coming to the big question, why choose Kranish as your partner or as your supplier? There are some key reasons for this. First of all, 25 years of experience. There is no other company in Africa that has that much of an experience of the solar industry. Our comprehensive portfolio filled with high quality products. We don't sell any substandard products. We offer strong support with our team that we have in our branch in Cape Town. We have a good amount of stock available from our warehouse in Cape Town, and we are able to supply to any SADC country. So even if you have a project outside of South Africa, we will be able to give you the support and the products for it. That's it basically from my side. Thank you guys for your attention. If you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the chat box or in the Q&A section. My colleague, Michael Kaminsky, who is the technical manager at our company, he's going to reply. I was told by Richard that we're going to have the survey now, so please answer the questions that you are going to see now.
So I will give we have 3 surveys, which are always just after the presentations. And I'll just give you half a minute to answer that. It's just multiple choice questions. Okay, please fill in your last questions. I give you 20 more seconds. Already 30 out of 60 people already replied. If the other ones also want to reply. Great, thank you very much. Then I'll close the poll and give over to Stephen.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes, Stephen, it's good.
Okay, and you can see my presentation screen.
No, not yet. We're still on Wadud's.
Okay, okay, I think we've got it now.
We have your desktop. Yes.
All right. There we go. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Richard. And thank you also, Wadud. And also to Ivan from AfriPlus or BYD, the agent for BYD, for joining us on this webinar today. I hope everyone has been staying warm. Winter has definitely hit Cape Town, and we've had some cold and rainy days recently. So would like to welcome everyone, and thank you all for joining this webinar with us. You know, Kranic and Goodwe, as Wadud had mentioned, Kranic and Goodwe have been, well, we have a global distribution agreement in place, which also extends into South Africa. And we've been working with Wadud and his team since the start of their operations in South Africa last year. And their biggest sellers of Goodwe are our storage inverters. So we decided to make the theme of this webinar correlated with their best-selling products for Goodwe. Okay, yeah, before we get into that, just a little bit about Goodwe as a company. Yeah, Goodwe was founded in 2010, so we've been in operation now for 10 years. We have a global footprint, quite a large global footprint, very similar to that of Kranic. Yeah, 1,000 plus staff work for Goodwe, with over 200 plus in R&D. So as you can see, approximately 20% of the staff are R&D related. And then, yeah, a great recent announcement is that according to Wood Mackenzie, which is a consulting firm, Goodwe has reached the #1 market share position for storage inverters as of this year, and that's based on 2019 numbers. So that's our latest and greatest achievement. So that it amounts to approximately 15% market share from 2019 numbers. Okay, and that's for storage inverters particularly. So Goodwe has quite a large product portfolio, and storage inverters are a portion of that. But for that particular sector, we've hit #1 in the world according to Wood Mackenzie. So great development there. We've got 2 plants. So Goodwe is headquartered in Suzhou in China, but we've also got a manufacturing facility in Guangdong, about 2 hours drive from Suzhou in China. And Goodwe has approximately 15 hectares of land for future development of production lines, etc. So it's expanding quite quickly. Goodwe has 8 gigawatts of production capacity per year, and has also done in the vicinity of 13 cumulative gigawatts, you know, in the lifespan of the company up to this point. And also got some advanced factories with 12 modern production lines. Okay, just a brief overview on some of the achievements. So I mentioned already, we've hit the #1 market share position for storage inverters, according to Wood Mackenzie. And then also the center picture there, the All Quality Matters Award, which is hosted every year by TUV Rhineland. They do a quality, well, they have an award that is related to quality of the product. And Goodwe has won that award 4 years in a row, and it's the only inverter manufacturer to have done that in 4 consecutive years. And then, yeah, also some other top brand PV inverter awards that Goodwe has won and has been winning since 2016. Okay, and then a very high level of our product portfolio. So we've got a very broad range. Goodwe has a very broad range of products, from grid tie inverters to hybrids and also to AC retrofit inverters. Not everyone's familiar with that terminology. So AC retrofits are essentially UPS inverters without the PV input. So it's purely for batteries and battery cycling. The product portfolio starts at 700 watt grid tie inverters and goes all the way up to our largest product being a 250 kilowatt three-phase grid tied commercial / utility string inverter. And then we've also got products for residential, commercial, and utility scale in both single phase and three phase, and then for the hybrids and AC retrofit for both low voltage and high voltage batteries. So that's the broad overview. Then related to storage products specifically, so hybrids and AC retrofits. This is a slide showing our storage portfolio. As you can see there, starting from the ES and the EM inverter, which are our bread and butter single phase hybrid inverters, moving all the way up to our three phase 10 kilowatt high voltage hybrid inverters. So we've got a few variants for both single and three phase, and then both low voltage and high voltage. You can see at the bottom there's a key there showing that the E in the model name usually refers to hybrid. The H refers to compatibility with high voltage batteries. Okay, the B in the model name refers to AC retrofit, and the T in the model name will refer to three phase. Okay, so that's that gives you the key to how our models are named. Okay, here is also a high-level overview of the specs from our residential hybrid inverters, starting from the EM. Krunich carries the ES inverter, and the ES is definitely what we sell the most of in South Africa. It comes in either a 3.6 or a 4.6, and I'm sure that most of you who have installed Goodwe inverters would definitely know about the ES inverter. It's also low voltage on the battery side. And then we have EH, which is the single phase high voltage inverter solution. We don't have any available in South Africa at this time because of the shortage of high voltage batteries in the market. But as soon as we start seeing more uptake of high voltage batteries, we will start introducing the EH product into South Africa. And then ET, Krunich have also sold quite a few ET inverters, which is the three-phase hybrid, which can manage unbalanced loads on each phase. Okay, and this is a very brief overview of our AC retrofit inverters, or our UPS inverters, that do not have PV input capability. So it's purely for load shedding with batteries and cycling of the batteries without any additional PV generation. I'll give you just a little bit of time to absorb that there. You can see that the specs very much relate or align with the hybrid inverters that we have in our portfolio. Okay, this is just a very brief sneak peek at our hybrid product that we're going to be introducing to market later this year. It's going to be the AES inverter, hybrid inverter. Goodwe has had a small gap in our product portfolio. We've been doing very well with our 3.6 and 4.6 kilowatt hybrids, but the gap was between the 5 and the 10 kilowatt single phase hybrid mark. So this product is going to fill that gap. It's going to have multiple MPPT inputs, and it's going to have high voltage battery input. So anywhere from 80 to 490 volts. And that should be introduced in the second half of this year. Then also another sneak peek at what's to come on the commercial storage side. So here you can see both the BTC and the ETC inverters. So the BTC is going to be the AC retrofit version without PV input. The ETC is going to be the hybrid storage inverter with PV input. And these will be in 50 kilowatt modules, available from 50 kilowatts up to 200 kilowatts. Okay, they're going to have adjustable reactive power control. They're going to have built-in remote shutdown. It's going to be modularized in 50 kilowatt modules, as I mentioned. And UPS level switch time, as with all our hybrids and AC retrofits. And it's going to be able to manage, it's going to be 3-phase and going to be able to manage 100% unbalanced on each phase. Unbalanced output on each phase. And then more specific to South Africa. So I'm sure everyone is aware of NRS 097-2-1 in South Africa. It's the certification requirement for inverters in South Africa. And City of Cape Town also has their own inverter approval list. And as you can see, Goodwe has quite a large product listing with the City of Cape Town. I think one of the largest, might even be the largest. I'm not too sure though, I would have to double check on that. But our hybrid products, which are most popular in South Africa, both the ES and the ET inverters are both listed with the City of Cape Town. And then just an overview of some of the rigorous testing that all of Goodwe's inverters go through. Goodwe considers itself to have a very reliable product at a very competitive price. So the aim is value more than anything else. And with that, obviously, the products have to go through some very rigorous testing for both certification purposes and for product reliability assessments. So, all the important tests, such as aging tests, your IP65 required by TUV, your temperature tests, both low and high operating temperature tests, temperature cycling, vibration tests, noise tests, salt spray tests, etc. Okay, and then some of the benefits of going with a Goodwe storage inverter. So what you're getting when you buy one is an internationally recognized performance, as we've seen already with our with the TUV Rhineland All Quality Matters Award and several other awards that the products have achieved. It's great value. You get for South Africa specifically, you get NRS 097-2-1 certification and listing with the City of Cape Town. We have a wide range of storage products from low voltage to high voltage, hybrid, AC retrofit, single and 3-phase. The products are very easy to install, and and they thanks to their lightweight and compact design. The UPS changeover at less than 20 milliseconds. Hybrids are compatible with most international lithium iron phosphate battery brands such as BYD. And, the very robust housing made of die-cast aluminium. It's quiet operation with fanless cooling. And also when you buy and install a Goodwe product, you get free online monitoring through our SEMS portal, which is a great user-friendly monitoring portal. And that's it from my side. Again, same as with Wadud, we're going to have 2 survey questions that come up now. If you guys don't mind answering those survey questions, and then we'll be moving on to Ivan from AfriPlus, who's going to discuss BYD modules. BYD batteries. Thanks, Richard. I'll shift it over to you.
Thanks a lot, Stephen. Thank you guys for answering. I already have almost half of the answers. I'll give you 20 more seconds. And Ivan, you can already start your slides, and I'll tell you when I close the poll. Okay, I will close the poll now. Thanks, guys, for all the answers.
Hi, my name's Ivan. I'm the Technical Support Manager for AfriPlus Energy. Joining us is Khan, who's the Business Relations Director for AfriPlus Energy in the Southern African region. We'd like to thank Kranich for inviting us to the webinar, and thank Goodwe for being with us. AfriPlus is the official service partner for BYD in the Southern African region. So the contents for today's webinar. So we're going to be introducing the new BYD Premium Battery range. BYD's recently come up with the Premium Battery range, which is the next generation of the lithium batteries in the portfolio. And we're going to give some examples of the BYD installations. And then we're also just going to talk a little bit about who AfriPlus is and where we fit in, and deal with some frequently asked questions that we get. So introducing the new BYD Premium Battery range. On our left, on the yellow background, is our high voltage batteries. We have the HVS and the HVM. The HVS won't be available in South Africa. The HVM will be available in South Africa. The HVS, similar to the Gen 2s, is a tower design, and it's also IP55, but we're going to deal with the batteries individually in a little bit. I'm just going to give you a little bit of an overview of the product range of the premium batteries. Next, we have the LVS, and as you can see on the designation, it starts with LV, so that stands for the low voltage, and the S stands for the size, the small. So on our high voltage, we have the HVM and the HVS, which is the high voltage small and the high voltage medium, and that's how our names, our designations work. So the LVS is also a tower design, also IP55, and there's also the LVL, which is a design for the larger systems. The LVS and the HVM are designed for the sort of residential and medium size, and the LVL it starts at a 15 kilowatt battery, and it's very scalable to large scale things, and that's a low voltage battery. And lastly, we've got our commercial battery, which comes in 130 kilowatts and 230 kilowatts, high voltage battery, and that integrates well with the new ETC and BTC from Goodwe, but we'll deal with that in a moment. So here's a little overview of the family replacement guide. So on our top right, we have the B-Box Pro 13.8, which is the older generation of the batteries. And the direct replacement for that is the LVL 48 volts system, which is a 15.4 kilowatt battery. So anywhere where you're thinking of using a B-Box Pro 13.8, you can use the LVL 15.4 battery. Next, we've got the B-Box Pro 2.5s. And the direct replacement for that is the LVS battery. The LVS's battery modules are 3.8 kilowatts each, and they are parallelable. So anywhere where you were thinking of using the B-Box Pro, you can quite easily use the LVS in its place. Next, we've got the B-Box Pro LV. That wasn't readily available in South Africa. And the B-Box Pro HV, that also wasn't very available in South Africa. However, the replacement for the HV is the HVS and the HVM. And the HVM is going to be available in South Africa, and it's got 2.7 kilowatt hour modules. So here we have some of the common properties to the premium battery range. They've got a really wide operating temperature. They can operate from -10 to +50 degrees centigrade, and they can operate at full power with no power derating between 5 degrees centigrade and 50 degrees centigrade, allowing a lot of flexibility in terms of where it can be installed. The other great nice improvement is online monitoring at a system level, where previously, if you were a technician, you had to sort out a battery, you had to get your laptop, your cable, go to site and plug it in, download logs. Now, the batteries can be monitored online at a system level, so you can see the cell voltages, errors, etc. The tower batteries have got an IP55 rating. That allows a lot of flexibility in terms of where they can be installed. We're going to touch on that a bit later. So because it's a tower design, we've introduced a new patented plug design that needs no additional wiring between your modules. So where previously you had to put cables in between your modules, which were points of failure, and there was a lot of wiring that was required, now you just put your modules on top of each other, and there's no extra dip switches to set, etc. So it's all very much plug and play. The modular tower design is very quick to install. Sometimes taking the battery modules out of their packets takes longer than actually putting your battery in a tower. We've also got improved SOC calibration, which allows for a much more accurate forecast of the available energy in the battery. And lastly, all our LFP batteries are cobalt-free, and that makes them a much greener battery, much safer for the environment. And the batteries have been tested to the maximum safety standards, and they've got high life cycles and high power. A few more properties of the tower design. They've got a new LED button, and on that button, it's very easy to see error messages that flash through in a way that's very easy to interpret. The new improved robust locking system is very quick and easy to put together. And the energy density for floor space has been increased greatly so that you can get more battery power in less space. We've also got a dedicated area at the top of the battery for your cable connections. So all your cable connections happen in one place. Here we've got a very basic single line diagram of how the parts of the batteries fit together. On our left, we have the LVS. And if you're installing a battery, you'd start with the LVS PDU base, and you put the base down, you'd make sure it's level, then you'd put your LVS battery modules on top. Each module is 3.8 kilowatts, and you can have between 1 and 6 battery modules in a tower. On top of your battery modules, you'd have your LVS PDU, and that's the power distribution unit. In that power distribution unit, you'd connect your cables, your power cables to your inverter, and you'd also connect a cable between your PDU and your BMU. And then from your BMU, it would communicate via CAN bus to your inverter. You do require an external BMU with the LVS, and you only need one BMU per battery bank. Next, we have our LVL battery. It's a 15.4 kilowatt hour battery. And the battery's split into two parts, making it easier to install so that no component is too heavy to be easily carried. And the power cables for the battery would connect directly to the battery between your battery and your inverter. And much like the LVS, you have a cable from the battery to your BMU and a cable from your BMU to communicate CAN bus to your inverter. You only need one BMU per LVL battery bank. And then on our right, we have the HVM batteries. So if you're installing an HVM, you start with the HVM base, and you'd make sure the base is flat. You'd put your battery modules on top of each other. You can have between 3 and 8 battery modules per tower, and each battery is 2.7 kilowatts. And then on top, you'd have your HVM BCU. And in terms of your connections, your power connections to your inverter would be connected in your HVM BCU, and you wouldn't require an external BMU. Your communications to the inverter connect directly to your BCU. The LVL is also a little bit stackable, so you can put one LVL on top of another. So you have basically a 30 kilowatt tower of low voltage batteries. Here's just a little bit of an example of how the tower design works. On our right at B, you can see how the modules fit together. It's very much a Lego type design. In fact, if you look at it from a distance, you'd be forgiven for thinking this is a drawing of Lego. And on our left at J, you can see the new improved locking mechanism, which is much quicker and easier to install. Some properties about the LVS. You can scale it from 3.8 kilowatts all the way up to 245 kilowatts, giving a large flexibility of the amount of power available. It's compatible with all the market-leading single-phase and three-phase inverters, and it's very capable of high-powered emergency backup and off-grid functionality. This battery is typically used in the smaller residential installations, as well as any medium-sized installations. Because of the tower design, you can extend quite easily at any point in time. Next, we have the LVL. The LVL is a 15.4 kilowatt battery, and you can scale it all the way up to 983 kilowatt hours. That's nearly a megawatt of battery power in a battery bank. It's compatible with the market-leading single-phase and three-phase inverters, and its space-saving ability is due to the fact you can stack 2 batteries on top of each other. You can always add additional batteries in parallel to expand the system at any time, and it's well suited to any installation requiring 15 kilowatts or more. Next, we've got the HVM series. The HV is scalable from 8.3 kilowatts all the way up to 66 kilowatt hours. And it's compatible with market-leading single-phase and three-phase inverters, and it's capable also of backup power and off-grid functionality. It's well suited to the smaller residential installations as well as medium-sized installations, and can be easily extended at any point in time. I'd like to just explain a bit about how high-voltage batteries work, or how the BYD high-voltage batteries work, because they're not readily available in South Africa, and I'll just give a background on how they function. So here on the top, you can see the towers. It starts between 3 modules and to 8 modules. And as you add each additional module, the amount of current you can get out stays the same, and your nominal voltage of your battery bank rises. So when you're using your high voltage batteries, you always have to keep in mind you have to match your battery bank voltage to your inverter, and it's always best to contact your distributor, Cranage. They can give you advice on how to best integrate your battery and your inverter together. And lastly, we've got the BYD Premium Commercial range, and this battery bank comes in two available energies. It's 130 kilowatt hours and 230 kilowatt hours. It's a high voltage DC battery bank, and this battery bank is compatible with the Goodwe ETC and BTC that was mentioned earlier, and that gives a very good package for sort of your medium to large off-grid installations where you need anywhere from 50 to 200 kilowatts of inverter power, and you need, say, 130 or 230 kilowatt hours of batteries. Another nice feature about the new BYD Premium batteries is they're commissioned via an app on your phone. So when you used to upgrade the firmware on the older batteries, you used to have to use a cable and a laptop, and that. Now everything's done on an app, so you can download the firmware and then upload the firmware onto the battery. If you have no cell phone reception or data reception where you're installing, you can always go to somewhere where you do, download the firmware, and go to your battery and upload it, making everything much quicker and easier to install. And here's some of the Goodwe inverters that are compatible with our new LVS and LVL inverters, LVS and LVL batteries. The Goodwe ES and EM are both compatible with the new BYD Premium LVL and LVS batteries. And they're quite popular for the small residential market, where they'll use, say, Goodwe ES and BYD LVS. And the Goodwe ET range is compatible with the new BYD Premium HVM. Here's just some examples of the BYD Premium battery installations. On our left, we've got the LVL 15.4. That's an example of the tower design where you've got two batteries on top of each other, and that gives an amazing amount of power in a very small space. In that photo on the left is 60 kilowatt hours of battery power, and the floor space is about 1.3 meters by 700 deep. And that's quite a good energy density. And then on the top there, just behind the orange cable, you can see the BMU. And then on our right, we've got an example of how the Goodwe inverters work with the BYD high voltage batteries. And that's an application in Europe where they're using it for load shifting and time of use tariffs. And here we have a good example of how an IP55 rating on a system can allow a lot of flexibility where you install. Here we can see a Goodwe high voltage inverter and a BYD high voltage battery bank. And because the entire system is IP55, you can actually install it outside. So when the customer is short on floor space in his house and he asks if the system can please be installed outside, the answer is yes. And almost all of the components are installed outside, including the battery disconnects. So who is AfriPlus? AfriPlus is the official service partner for BYD, for the BYD B-Box lithium batteries in the Southern African region. Our goals are to provide quality technical support, to provide battery training to installers, and to service warranties. You can contact us at support@afriplusenergy.co.za for email inquiries, and support.afriplusenergy.co.za for the online registration of support. Everyone will be receiving a copy of the presentation via email, so you won't necessarily have to write these links down. So some of the frequently asked questions we get. Can we buy the old generation of batteries to expand the systems? Yes, you can. please contact your installer and ask him to contact his distributor, Greenwich. And if there are any issues, please contact us and we'll put you in touch with an installer and distributor who can help you at support@afriplusenergy.co.za. And another question we quite often get asked is, what should I do if my battery system isn't working properly? It would be best to contact your installer first. And should your installer require any assistance, he's welcome to contact us directly or through his wholesaler, Greenwich. And the email address is also support@afriplusenergy.co.za. And lastly, we quite often get asked, where can I download my data sheets? And you can get your data sheets from bydbatterybox.com/downloads. And here we've just got some web links at the end so that you can, if you want to go and look at some examples of BYD installations, or visit our website and the web portal. Thank you very much. I'm going to hand over to the Q&A, the web question section, and then David should be on after that.
Great. Thank you very much, Ivan. I have the poll for you. Be very happy if you could answer those two questions. I'll give you a few seconds, a minute or so, and then we can continue with our last speaker today, David. David, you can, in the background, you could already also start your, exactly, perfect. Thank you. Okay, guys, 20 more seconds. Thanks a lot for the participation in our questions. It's great information for us. Great. I will close the poll now and hand over to David.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me. It's David here from Goodwe. I'm going to jump right into a bit of the operation logic of our inverters and different functionalities we have available and upcoming as well. And then a bit into the commissioning of the inverters. So with our hybrid inverters, our PV supply is always a priority, regardless of the work modes you use. So the solar power of the system will always support the loads first and then charge battery with excess energy. Any excess energy then can be exported to the grid if export limitation is not enabled. Also, our hybrid inverters, there's no priority difference between backup and grid connected loads. All loads it sees as a priority and tries to cover them. So load consumption is the priority. Load consumption of the system will take power from the solar first. If solar is not enough, then it will use the battery power. And then lastly, it will use utility power. So if you design a system and your loads exceed the PV production, you'll never really charge your battery. So then it's best to select a mode that will keep your battery full for outages. So our single-phase inverters are capable of being installed in a three-phase utility. A separate three-phase smart meter can be purchased. So this is generally for net metering. If a customer has net metering and can balance out his power by feeding back on one phase, this is a good option. So the three-phase smart meter will then detect all the loads on all three phases and then discharge the battery and use the PV to cover all the loads. So normally in this kind of configuration, you would have export on one phase and trying to balance out in the net metering. So capacity extension solutions. So for existing grid-tie systems or existing storage systems, Goodwe hybrid inverters can be used to upgrade the energy storage system so that you've got hybrid backup as well. So if you have an existing PV inverter over here, you can get a special smart meter with 2 CTs that's there to detect the production from the on-grid inverter as well as the consumption from the utility. With this data, the inverter, if it sees there is excess production from the grid-tie inverter that starts exporting to the grid, it will then consume that electricity and push it into your batteries. So all of our hybrid inverters have UPS level switch time. So we have double isolated relays. So relay 1 and 2. So within 10 milliseconds, our relay switch and switch in relay 3 to run the backup output. Our inverters also have an option under advanced settings that I'll show you a little bit later for grid quality detection. Should one disable that, you unfortunately will no longer have the 10 milliseconds changeover time because the grid will no longer be actively monitored. So as Stephen mentioned before, we have 100% bidirectional unbalanced operation with our ET inverters as well as our BT inverters. So what that means on the grid tie side as well as the load side, but more importantly the grid tie side, because not a lot of companies have this, you'll see that the unbalanced output is 100% to ensure that 0 is used from the grid. So on the grid tie side, you'll see we can run 1 kilowatt, 3 kilowatt, 2 kilowatt. It's very easy for the inverter. Even if you don't have batteries connected to our ET inverters, they are able to do this. So it's great for domestic residential installations where balancing the loads are generally not an option. Our BT inverter, which is the AC retrofit without MPPTs, can have unbalanced charging as well. So what that does is it tries to equalize the load from the grid. So this is especially important for net metering and time of use tariffs to ensure that the peak demand is reduced. So it will then evenly draw from the grid to ensure that each phase is equal. So this is very exciting and coming soon is our paralleling box for our single phase inverters. This paralleling box will be a separate purchasable unit. So you'll be able to parallel up to 3 inverters. The backup and the on-grid side will be paralleled. The only drawback of this is that you will no longer have that UPS switchover functionality. The changeover will be 3 to 5 seconds. So if a customer does need a larger capacity for backup, it would then be recommended to install small inline UPSs for any very sensitive loads such as computers to ensure that they remain on during the 3 to 5 seconds changeover. Then for our 3-phase inverters, we've got paralleling coming as well, but only for the grid connected side. Unfortunately, the backup won't be able to parallel on these units at this point in time. So this is good because you can go up to 100 kilowatts and have your unbalanced output to maximize savings from the utility. So these can be used with or without batteries. It's got very intelligent battery control with the inverters. So if you do have batteries and you have different sized battery banks, it will then interactively control the amount of discharge from the batteries to match the loads. So with our hybrid inverters, everything you need is in the box. There's no extra components that is required to install a system. There are some extra components which we are bringing, like the parallel box or the LAN module for the inverters. But those are all optional extras that aren't required to install a system. With our 3-phase ET paralleling systems and the communication device, with that communication device we'll also include the lovely connection splitter, so that you don't have to make up any cables and you still have your IP rating of the inverter. We also quite soon are going to be releasing our Bluetooth module, so that will allow direct app commissioning even when your inverter is connected to the network. So the installation and commissioning of our inverters are actually quite quick, especially once you've got used to the setup of the system. It's normally between 22 and 45 minutes. So with your PV connections, 3 to 5 minutes, battery connection, 6 to 8 minutes, AC grid connection is all dependent on how far your DB board and everything is from your inverters. And the Wi-Fi configuration and app settings normally takes a few minutes. So the basic commissioning with the PV Master application on your phone, which is available on Android and iOS. So in basic settings, there is a password. That password is Goodwe 2010. So when you connect your phone to solar Wi-Fi, the inverter's Wi-Fi, it has a password, which is 12345678. And then we go into basic commissioning. Basic commissioning, you'll select your country code, you select your operation mode and your lithium-ion batteries. And once that's all done, you have your meter test. So with the lithium-ion battery options available on the application, it's all entirely dependent on the inverter's firmware. So when we have an update of our list of compatible batteries, so with the BYD, LVLs and all of that, which will be on our app soon, there will be a new update for the inverters, which will then accommodate all of those selections. The meter test at the end of that meter test tests the communication between the batteries as well as your energy meter. When that test is run, you'll have to ensure that at least 150 watts is being drawn from the grid so that the CT can accurately detect the current flowing. So we have battery power reservation under our advanced settings, which we will go through in more detail. There's an on-grid and off-grid depth of discharge. So when you in self-defined general mode of our inverter and you are using self-consumption, you can use a portion of your battery for self-consumption and reserve the rest for grid outages. If your battery capacity is insufficient to keep you through a long outage, or if your PV production is less than your consumption, then you can set it to backup only, which reserves all the battery power for grid outages. Another option is the economical mode. Economical mode gives you a bit more flexibility. So with the backup only mode, it charges at a UPS rate. So it charges at 10% of the rated charge current or charge power in the high voltage. But so what that does is it slowly charges your batteries to ensure that if a large scale outage occurred and the grid comes back on, that everyone's not charging the batteries at full steam at the same time. But should you have the need to charge your batteries a bit faster or have a bit of flexibility in your system, you can use economical mode and you can adjust your rated charging power as you need fit. I normally wouldn't recommend more than 50% because you don't need to charge your batteries in under an hour. But yeah, it's all up to you. 50% is normally the recommended maximum that I would say. You'll see we have 4 different groups under economical mode. So you can set 4 different charge and discharge times. Please note that any time that is not set in this will then fall back to a default discharge time. So our advanced configuration. So on the application, we have advanced configuration. In advanced configuration, we've got export power limit, and that needs to be put on for most places in South Africa and Africa. If the utility allows you to feedback, you can disable that. If they only allow you to feedback a certain amount, you can put in the certain amount of feedback you'd like here and press set. For zero export, it would be recommended to set 0. We are working on it to have this negatively set, and that should be released in a few months' time. We have our backup supply and off-grid output switch. So the backup supply will be on by default. So if you aren't using the backup and you're only using it as a grid tie system, you can switch that backup supply off to ensure that the backup output is completely off. The off-grid output switch comes on automatically when there is more than one power source available for the inverter. So if you have batteries and solar available, that switch will be on. And when the grid fails, it will continue to function. When there is a problem or an overload or anything like that, the off-grid output switch goes off. And if there's only one power source available, it will not come on automatically. It can be manually switched back on, but it is a safety feature to ensure that the batteries and everything is protected and that it doesn't over-discharge your batteries. And then lastly, at the bottom, we've got our depth of discharge on-grid and our depth of discharge off-grid. You'll see also our grid quality detection, and we have low sensitivity as well. So the grid quality detection is always recommended to put on, because without that, you won't have your quick changeover time. And then we have our Wi-Fi configuration. So our Wi-Fi configuration is on our app as well. It's very simple. You just click Wi-Fi configuration. It will prompt you to make sure you are connected to your inverter and everything is correct. Then it will go and scan your network, where you can select your network, type in your password, ensure that your encryption method is correct, and then you're done. Just make sure that there are no very special characters in your Wi-Fi name or password, and there are no blank spaces, because any of these can cause that the Wi-Fi may not connect correctly. We've released our remote commissioning officially. So as an installer with an installer account, you can connect via your cell phone app, the SEMS Portal cell phone app, which is available on iOS and Android. You'll see you just go into your customer plant, you scroll down to the device at the bottom, you select the device, and a nice blue configure button will become available. Please read through our disclaimer and agree to our terms and conditions. From there, you'll see most of the basic commissioning is available there, but it's always recommended to commission your inverter on site, and this is only for if changes need to be made in the system. If we have, let's say, bad weather and grid outages on the way, you can come here to adjust your SOC levels, you can adjust your work mode, you could even change the country code if needed. So you'll see all the different selections available on the application. For our monitoring, we have the SEMS portal. So once your inverter is connected to your local network, you can go onto semsportal.com and create a plant with the device's serial number as well as the check code, which is only under the serial number on the product. On SEMS Portal, you can see a lot of your load monitoring as well as your PV production and consumption. You'll see if you select your plant as a battery storage, you'll have this interval monitoring graph that pops up at the bottom of your plant, which shows you a 5-minute snippet of what's happening on your system. You can also generate daily and monthly and yearly historical reports of your PV production. And we've also got a display of your daily, monthly, yearly calculations of your PV, your self-use, and your consumption. Currently, we also have notifications, which is now available for our systems, where you can click settings on your SEMS portal and you can activate notifications for any alarms that occur on any of your customers' plants. And that's currently only available to our installer accounts. Resources that's available on our website. On our website, we've got a lot of videos and documents available. So if you need any spec sheets, user manuals, battery compatibility sheets, any of those kind of things, you can go to our website, goodwe.com. So you'll see under downloads, you've got choose documents, certificates, user manuals, and software. Unfortunately, our firmwares and things aren't there, but that is for some of our products, the software is available there. You choose your product series, you can choose one or multiple, and your language. It will then give you a list of downloadable content. You can either view it online or you can download the PDFs. We also have a system design tool on our website. You'll see under support, there's the system design. The system design tool is there to help you to ensure that your string configurations and everything is correct and that you don't overstring your inverters. You'll see I just did a basic setup here. We have a large amount of modules already pre-configured onto our portal, but you can also input custom modules as well. The nice thing about this is you select your location of the plant and it calculates the geometrical data. So it takes the lowest average temperatures as well as the highest average temperatures and calculates your temperature coefficient to ensure that your PV voltage will not exceed the rated current and voltage of your inverters. And this is something very important. A lot of installers don't always have the access to. You'll see it gives our VMPP, our VOC, and the max DC currents as well. You'll see when you do the design, you select your inverter model, it will give you multiple different string configurations that you can select. It will also tell you what the overstringing design is, how much percentage you are overstringing your inverters. On our website, you'll also find a lot of our commissioning documents, like the Goodwe and BYD HV battery commissioning. I'm not going to go too much into detail into this. We'll have a technical workshop, a more in-detailed technical workshop a bit later in this year with BYD, I think, as well. Then we can go through all the different commissionings and installations of the multiple batteries to have a nice working system. But all of these documents will be available on our website if you want to look at them in the meantime. Then lastly, I just have a little breakdown of the required battery voltages for the high voltage batteries. So with the inverters and the limitation of current, I would just like to highlight this for a lot of the installers. So once we're moving over to use a lot of the high voltage batteries, this is something that we need to pay quite closely attention to. Because we are limiting our inverters current at a low current of 25 amps on the ETs, for a 10 kilowatt inverter to give you 10 kilowatts backup, you will need a minimum of 400 volts. So if the customer is installing a 10 kilowatt and he wants to use the backup to a maximum, he needs to ensure that the battery bank is a sufficient capacity to give you the required voltage. So that's the last for me. I thought I'd just leave this up so you guys can just have a look and see all the different models and what the minimum required voltage to get the maximum power out of the inverters are. Richard, you can take over and begin the quiz.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Wadud, Stephen, Ivan, and David for your input. Let me share my screen. There we are. So now we have a short quiz. with 6 questions and 50 USD Amazon vouchers available for each question. Speed counts, so please be prepared. I will start with a countdown. I will not read the question. You can read it, and then you can use the chat box to, let me just, you can use the chat box to send the answer, and we will check who answers first. And just to let you know, if someone happens to be the fastest one more than once, we will give maximum 2 vouchers per person if someone manages that. Then let us start with the countdown. And as I said, I will not read the answers and give you about half a minute to a minute time to answer this. Did you see where to answer? Stephen already wrote in the chat, in the chat button, which I explained at the beginning.
Please also ensure that when you're typing that you type to all.
Sorry, I think, yeah, it was disabled. Please, yeah, now it's coming in. Great, sorry about the delay on this question. Then I would go to question number 2.
Yeah, let's go question 2. Okay, I think we definitely got a winner there.
Yes, a lot of answers pouring in.
Yeah.
Let us go to question number 3. And I will continue to question number 4.
Yeah.
Great, thanks a lot. 2 more questions. There you guys are fast. It's pouring in. Fantastic. Then let's go to the last question.
Wow.
Great. Great, guys. Thanks a lot for the participation, for the listening. We will figure out who was the fastest one and we will send out the vouchers to the respective people by email as you were registered. I would like, on behalf of everyone here in the webinar, I would really like to thank you for your participation, for your interest, and in our products and in everything. And as probably most of you already have contact with someone of the speakers in one of the 3 companies, like if you have specific questions, just never hesitate to call or to write an email. We will combine all the information. So like out of the presentations, we will make PDFs, as it was already answered in the Q&A before. And also, as this webinar has been recorded, it will be edited and be put on YouTube. So the link we will share with everyone who has attended this webinar today. That's it from me. I will still leave the room open for another 5 minutes, just as in case that someone else has some comments on the chat or has some questions on the Q&A. And after that, I will be closing the webinar. So if there's nothing else from my colleagues, then once again, thanks a lot and wish you all a great weekend.